Okay, that's what it means to be Mavakesh. Yeah? So any questions on that? Comments? Okay. So now I want to introduce us to a very important principle, and that is the following, right? That in this searching, right? So we're searching for Hashem, we're seeking, we're searching, we're looking, yeah? And it seems like, there's kind of this master called hide and seek game going on, right? The Hashem is kiviyachol hiding, and we're searching for Hashem, right? So where is Hashem hiding? Just before I answer that question, it reminds me of a story, right? Hashem is hiding, and we're all looking for Him, right? Or are we looking for Him? Are we even looking for Him at all, right? There's a famous Hasidic story about this little boy, and he's counting. Or no, he's not counting. He's hiding. And whoever it is that's counting, right, is supposed to be looking for him. So after a while, the boy that's counting and whoever else is hiding, like they go off and they go play something else. And this little boy who's hiding, like he's stuck hiding and nobody's looking for him. And he's like, well, where did everybody go? Right? So kiviyachol, you could say that's how Hashem feels in this master hide and seek game. Well, we're going to see in a minute who's really hiding in this game here. But if Hashem is hiding, so let's answer the question, where is Hashem? Where is Hashem hiding? Yeah? Any ideas? Where is Hashem? Is Hashem hiding? Let's ask it like that. Is Hashem really hiding at all? So to answer that question, there's a couple places. The Musaf, right, in the Shabbos davening with the Malachim, there's this conversation in Kedusha that's going on between the Malachim. And one group of Malachim is saying to the other group of Malachim, Aye makom kvodo, right? Where is the place of Hashem's glory? Where is Hashem to be found? Yeah, and the other group of Malachim, they answer, Olam malei kvodo, right? That the whole world is filled with Hashem's glory, right? Olam malei kvodo. The Tukanei HaZohar says there is no place devoid of Him. Right? That the whole world is filled with Hashem's glory. Or as my teacher Rav Svirsky would say, Hashem is right here, right now. Hashem is hamakom. What does it mean Hashem is hamakom? Right? That Hashem is the place of the universe. Meaning not that Hashem is inside of the universe, but rather all of the universe and all of created life and the whole world is so to speak, inside of Hashem, inside of Hamakom. So if Hashem is the place of the world, right, then Hashem is surrounding us and inside of us and is around and is everywhere. Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere, right? So if there's no place devoid of Him, then Hashem is not the one hiding. Who's really hiding here in this hide and seek game? Hashem's not hiding, so who's hiding?
We are.
We're hiding.
Yes.
Is that, you heard us?
Yes.
Right, we're hiding. Excellent. So where are we hiding? Do you hear this? Again, this is a paradigm shift. We always think of, Hester Panim and Hashem is hiding, right? But it's not true. Hashem is all around us all the time. Hashem is right here, right now. And if I'm not conscious of that truth, it's a truth, right? That Hashem is right here, right now. It's not just something I know. It's something that I can feel. It's a truth. It's something that I can absolutely positively absorb into my being, right? And if I'm not, so it's not that Hashem's hiding. I'm hiding. Yeah, so where am I hiding? Where are we hiding? We're hiding from Hashem. Yeah, so that's the question I want to answer. So we say in the story of Adam and Chava, right, in Gan Eden, and when they first sin, right, by eating the tree of Eitz Das Tov Ra. And how does the Torah describe it, right? That they go into hiding, right? As if they could hide from Hashem, right? They cover themselves, they go into hiding. And Hashem, it describes, Hashem is pacing in the garden, uses this lashon of mitalech, right? Hashem is going, pacing back and forth, almost like an expectant, father in a delivery room, pacing, mitalech, back and forth. And Hashem Kiviyachol is saying, Ayeka, like, where are you? Where did you go? Right? Now, of course, Hashem knows where Adam and Chava are hiding. Right? So what does it mean, Ayeka? Right? He's asking them, like, where are you? Where are you? Where did you go? Where are you hiding? So if we can answer this question, this is going to be the first layer of unraveling this mystery of how to have this heartfelt, palpable Dveikus that we want to have. So I said in the introductory class in Parshas Nitzavim that we have this orla, right? We have this foreskin, we have this barrier, we have this covering up our heart. And it says that in the end of days, Hashem is going to do this, described it as this mass circumcision, so to speak. He's going to mal levavechem, right? He's going to circumcise our hearts. He's going to remove this orla. He's going to remove this foreskin. And there's going to be this mass tshuva and chule v'chule, right? Mashiach yavo, b'mhira b'yameinu. So what I want to suggest is that if we can do, that's on a national level, right? But I want to suggest if we on an individual level, if we can I want to figure out how can I circumcise my heart? How can I remove this orla, this barrier, this foreskin that's covering up my heart? And again, Hashem put it there, right? Why did Hashem put it there? Everything we said at the beginning of the class, because the more it's covered over, the more I'm going to dig, the more I'm going to search, the more I'm going to want, the more I'm going to strive to earn this relationship with Hashem, and the more real and the more palpable the relationship will be to the degree of my searching and my striving for this relationship. So we have to do this, so to speak, circumcision on our own hearts and remove this block, this orla, this foreskin. So going back to our question, right? Where are we? Where are we hiding, right? Because this is the step. This is what's going to help us circumcise our heart. So to answer that question, I want to turn our attention to a very powerful quote from the Baal Shem Tov. And I think I might have given this in the introductory class. I'm not sure. But it's a very powerful quote to review anyway. The Baal Shem Tov, right, the father of the Hasidic movement. So we're answering the question now. We're in this master hide-and-seek game with Hashem. And we said, really, it's not Hashem who's hiding. Really, I'm the one who's hiding. So where am I hiding, right? So the Baal Shem Tov says the following in Keter Shem Tov. He says, where are you? Hamakom she'adam choshev b'machshava, sham hu kulo. Okay, I'll say that again. Hamakom, where are you? The place. Hamakom she'adam choshev b'machshava, sham hu kulo. The place where a person is thinking in his thought, there he is kulo, entirely. He is completely there. Sham hu kulo. So what is that saying? It's an extremely powerful statement that you want to know where you're hiding, right? We're hiding in our thoughts, right? Or I think Nadia, as you said last week, what's holding you back in your relationship with Hashem? And you said there's confusion and there's distraction, and we're going to talk about that more specifically in a few moments. But this idea that my thoughts I just can't get a handle on my thoughts enough to connect with Hashem. I'm hiding in my thoughts, right? That when my thoughts are befuddled and I'm in this state of just constant noise and static going on in my brain, right? So that's going to hold back. We're going to come to see in a moment. That is the biggest Yetzer Hara that's holding us back from Hashem, right? And again, what does it mean you're in your thoughts? So for instance, let's say I'm davening Shemona Esrei, right? I'm davening Shemona Esrei, but I'm going through my shopping list in Rami Levi, right? I happen to be thinking, I'm going in a few minutes, and I have to go to Rami Levi, and I have to get this, and I have to get that, and blah, 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 right? So according to the Baal Shem Tov's definition, right, hamakom she'adam choshed b'machshava sham hu kulo, I'm not in my Shemona Esrei, right? Where am I? I'm in Rami Levi, right? Or I'm in my to-do list, right? Do you ever have those, moments you're trying to daven and just like, bang, like all the things that you have to do just comes like swimming into your brain, right? In that moment, you're not in your Shemana Esrei, you're in your to-do list. Yeah? Shamhu Kulo, that's entirely where you are. The Baal Shem Tov even goes on further to say, who are you? Right? You are what you're thinking, right? You are where your thoughts are. You are who your thoughts are. So I'll give you another example. Let's say, my kids are telling me something, right? And, we're sitting at the dinner table and they're, telling me about their day, whatnot. And let's say while they're telling me about their day, I'm thinking about a conversation. I just had a confrontational conversation with my neighbor, for example, let's just say. Right? So, again, in that moment, I'm not with my kids. I'm just not there. Right? Because I am where my thoughts are. So if my thoughts are back to thinking about this confrontational conversation that I just had with my neighbor, I'm bichlal not with my kids. Yeah? Is that clear? So where are we hiding? We're hiding in our thoughts. So now, just allow that to digest for a moment. I want us to turn to another source that I scanned for you, also from Nefesh Shimshon. Right, this is from Rav Pinkus's Sefer Shabbos Kodesh, and he's going to say something extremely powerful here. And this is going to really start to put all the pieces into place. Okay, so if you have, it's an English source. So it's saying Rav Pinkus, Nefesh Shimshon, page 119, 120. Okay, so follow along with me. And he's quoting, he's commenting on the Rambam from Moreh Nevuchim. So he says, the Rambam writes, the power of thought that Hashem granted us is what connects us to Him. Again, the power of thought that Hashem granted us is what connects us to Him. And now Rav Pinkus is going to paraphrase what this means. And this Rabbi Niven would say is, he calls these refrigerator statements. Put this on your refrigerator. Right? When we think about Hashem, we are actually with Him. And when we think about something else, we simply disconnect from Hashem. Let's say that again, because that was, again, too powerful to just say once. When we think about Hashem, we are actually with Him. And when we think about something else, we simply disconnect from Hashem. Yeah? That's a powerful statement. So, so what are we saying here? We're saying that we're hiding. Where are we hiding? We're hiding in our thoughts. And if I want to know how can I be in this palpable, sensing, right, relationship with Hashem, I have to learn, like, what does it mean to think about Hashem? Right? Rav Pinkus just said, you want to be with Hashem? Think about Hashem. Okay, that's it. Class is over. You're done. Right? And if it was that simple, I would just give you that line and you'd be done. But, like, what does it mean to think about Hashem? Like, how do you do that? What does that mean? So, anybody ever ask that question? Like, how do you think about Hashem? So where we're going to be going forward is I have to learn what is the hishtadlus in this avoda. I just said to you a few minutes ago that this is a muscle, that our emunah needs to be practiced and it needs to be exercised, right? So what's the effort? We have to put in effort. The more effort, the more we earn it, the more pleasure we have. But there's a training that has to go on here. What's the hishtadlus? What's the effort that I have to put in? Somehow I have to gain a mastery over my thinking. Right? I have to learn how to train my thoughts to think about Hashem. Yeah, that's the key, right? Or as we're going to come to call, what does it mean to think about Hashem, right? It's my teacher, Rav Svirsky, would always say, Hashem is right here, right now. Or we're going to come to call Ein Od Novado consciousness, right? Ein Od Novado consciousness. What does it mean, Ein Od Novado consciousness? Yeah? So again, Ein Od Novado, it's not just a cute bumper sticker that you see, at least in Israel, they have these bumper stickers all over the place. Ein Od Novado, right? So we're going to see next week, where does this actually come from in the Chumash? But this idea of the first, again, what does it mean to think about Hashem? We're going to talk, there's a few things that I have to have in mind when I'm thinking about Hashem. The first and foremost thought that I have to have in my thinking about Hashem is to know that Hashem is right here, right now. That Hashem is beside me. Hashem is right here. Hashem is the one making my lips move. Hashem is the one breathing through me. What does it mean, Ein Od Milvado consciousness? That means that whatever situation I'm in, whatever conversation I'm having, it's all Hashem speaking to me, right? That if I have a confrontational conversation with my neighbor or with my kids, it's all Hashem speaking through me. If I get an email from somebody that says, Devorah, great class, Yeshakah, right? It's Hashem speaking to me. Whatever matzav I'm in, whatever situation, whatever circumstance I'm in, to experience that situation with Ein Od Milvado glasses, Ein Od Milvado consciousness, it means that whatever I'm going through, whatever situation I find myself, it's Hashem speaking to me. Yeah, is that clear? You hear this? Are you still there? Because I heard someone bop off.
I'm still here. Yes, it's clear.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so basically we're in one of three states of consciousness at any given moment, right? And with this, we're gonna end in just a few minutes. But we'll call it three states of consciousness. Okay, we're either in a state of, call it God consciousness. I don't know whoever just popped off, but I'm just saying that we're in one of three states of consciousness at any given time. Right? I'm either God conscious, I'm self-conscious, or I'm unconscious. Okay, I'll say that again. I'm either God conscious, I'm self-conscious, or I'm unconscious. So what does it mean to be unconscious? Yeah, it doesn't mean that I'm, sleepwalking, although spiritually speaking, we are most of the time sleepwalking. But, what does it mean to be unconscious? Again, it's the opposite of being in this Ein Od Milvado consciousness place. It means that whatever's going on around me, I'm attributing some kind of independence, some kind of this person or this thing or this situation, it has some kind of a power over me, right? So that when, let's say I'm having trouble putting my kids to bed, right? So in that moment, if I'm not acting in an Ein Od Milvado space, right? I'm acting in an unconscious state. So what does that mean? It means I'm reacting. It means I'm just reacting. My kids yell, I yell back, right? This whole avoda, I don't know if I said this last week, but this whole avoda was born of my tremendous desire to gain a handle on my temper because it was really getting out of control. And there was just this perpetual, my kids yelled, I yelled, they yelled, I yelled, and it was debilitating. And I just couldn't stop this horrible vicious cycle until I had this amazing teacher I described last week. This was my first teacher who I opened the Gush phone and her name popped out at me, Hannah Luke. This amazing woman in Alon Shvut, who for those of you in Israel you must meet if you really want to do this avoda in as real a way as possible. So she was the very first person who I ever met in my whole life, and this is after, all the kiruv I'd been doing, and I'd already been frum for 16 some years. And, and just there was nobody had ever said what she said to me, which was, well, I was just like crying to her. I cannot get my kids to go to bed. I cannot get myself to control my temper. I just can't get a handle on it. And she said to me, well, Devorah, did you ever try to bring Hashem into whatever situation you're dealing with, right? And I was just befuddled, what? What do you mean? How do you do that? Yeah, so basically she was the first person to teach me that we can, again, this whole avoda is where am I? I am where my thoughts are. Right? So if I'm in an unconscious state, meaning I'm just reacting, what am I unconscious of? What does it mean I'm unconscious? It means I'm unconscious of the truth, of the reality of Hashem is right here, right now. Ein Od Milvado. So whenever I'm unconscious of that reality, that's when I get frustrated. That's when I get angry. That's when I, just lose total control of myself. Because in that moment, I blocked off the reality of Hashem is right here, right now, right? The whole world is malay olam malay kvodo. There is no place devoid of him. When I'm oblivious to that truth, that's when the Yetzer Hara springs up. Right? So what we're going to learn to do, God willing, going forward, is I want to be able to learn, like at a moment's notice, I want to be able to flip the switch to go from a state of being, call it unconscious, to being God conscious. Right? How can I, in any situation I'm in, whether it's putting my kids to bed, whether I'm stuck in traffic, whether I'm at a simcha, doesn't necessarily have to be something negative. It's just any time that I feel myself like slipping into, I'm just like, robotically making dinner, and I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm so tired. I can't do this. And I wish my kids would just go to bed already. And right? Anytime I find myself slipping into this robotic, unconscious mode, right? I want to be able to, like in a moment's notice, to flip the switch and bring myself into a state of Einod Milvado consciousness, right? So I wanted to show you one more source, and that's going to pull this all together. Any questions on what I just said? We're clear on the maflul? Yeah? We're good? You heard us? Whoever else is on, Miriam?
Clear. It's crystal clear. We're waiting for the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you already got a lot of the answer, but we're just going to go backwards a little bit to go forward. So, right. So how do we do it? How do we move from one state into another? And again, why is it that Hashem keeps putting, these obstacles in my way, right? We just said that what does it mean to be in an Einod Milvado state? It means that whatever's going on around me in my life and whatever situation I'm in, it's Hashem communicating to me, right? So what's the problem? What goes wrong? That if this is the most essential relationship, right? We said this is the it of all its and the end of all ends. So you can believe that the Yetzer Hara is going to do somersaults to keep you from having this consciousness, right? Again, why is the Yetzer Hara doing this? Because Hashem is out to torture us and he's a sadist? Chas v'shalom? No, God forbid. Right? Because again, the Yetzer Hara is our personal life coach, and Hashem keeps raising the bar, right? But it feels very real in the moment, right? This Yetzer Hara that just, let's just review very slowly. We said you want to have this palpable sensing relationship with Hashem, so I need to learn how to get a handle on my thoughts, right? That's the key. Where am I hiding? I'm hiding in this hide-and-seek game. I'm hiding in my thoughts, right? When I think about Hashem, I'm with Hashem. And when I think about something else, I disconnect from Hashem. So the only way for me to be in this Einod Milvado, as we're going to come to call it Das, right? When I have Das, when I have total God consciousness, God awareness that Hashem is right here, right now, Hashem is with me in the moment. When I have that consciousness, right, then how could I possibly ever do anything, right, neged ratzono? How could I ever go against Hashem's ratzon? But what? But because this is like the battleground. Yeah, so the Yetzer Hara is going to absolutely spin us in circles to keep us from this place, to keep us from having a handle on these thoughts. So are we clear what the battle is, right? I want to learn how to get a handle on my thoughts, and the tools that we're going to learn, we're going to call them, hooks. They're like hooks or handles of ways to help me, right, gain a mastery over my thinking, right, because I am where my thoughts are, so I want to be able to control my thought process so I can be with Hashem, right? So, but the Yetzer Hara, this is the battleground. This is where the Yetzer Hara is going to spin us in circles to keep us from going to this place. Yeah, so let's see this inside, right? The Slonim Rebbe says this very beautifully. Go to, I'm not sure where it is in this number of scans I gave you. I didn't really order them. But it's the Slonim Rebbe. It has like half English, half Hebrew on it. And it says Awareness, Chapter 1. Okay, this is actually from the Slonim Rebbe's Sefer Nativa Shalom. And it's from the first section, which is called Nativas Das, right, the Paths of Das. And I'm going to skip the first paragraph. We're going to come back to that next week. But I want to go down to where it says therefore. Do you see where I'm reading? You hear this? My source.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? Okay, great. So what I want to identify for us now, right, so again, we said there's blocks, there are obstacles that Hashem puts in our way, right, this orla that's blocking us from this relationship with Hashem. So hopefully so far, I hope and I will continue to take care of this first block, which is taking the relationship with Hashem for granted. Yeah, going forward, we're going to deal with, there's two major blocks that we need to neutralize in order to go forward in our relationship with Hashem. So what I'm going to identify for us now is the second block. Although as the Slonim Rebbe describes it, it's the block. It's the well, let's just read it inside in his words. He says the following: therefore, and what he's defining for us is what is this Yetzer Hara, right? If the arena, if the battleground here is a battleground for my thinking, and that if I want to be with Hashem, I need to learn how to think about Hashem and focus my thoughts on Hashem. So this is where the Yetzer Hara is going to really, again, spin me in circles to keep me from going to this place. So he says, the Son of Rebbe says, therefore of all the adversities that a servant of Hashem experiences, more than every seduction, this is the Yetzer Hara, ladies, more than every seduction, every desire, every lack of motivation, the greatest adversity is in the area of awareness. Right? The Hebrew, he calls it lahachshich da'ato. Right, to darken our das, right, and that's actually very powerful language, lahachshich da'ato, like to make our das choshech, because that's really the language that we're going to be coming upon with Hanukkah, and I'll be sending you out a shir that I gave this time last year, on Hanukkah, where that was the whole avoda of the Greeks. That's exactly what the Greeks were trying to do. They were trying to, it says, to darken our eyes. Right? I don't have the Lashon in front of me, but Chashchui Neihem, I think it is. Right? What does it mean to darken our eyes? They were trying to block us, to darken our das, to take away this God consciousness, this God awareness that we're describing. Okay, so what does this mean? One is constantly assailed by forces that cause confusion and the reduction of awareness until one's service remains in a contracted and small-minded state. Okay, go to the next page. It's a slow number, page 2, top of the page. In the same way, one is assailed by forces that prevent one from attaining awareness. So too, and more so, is one surrounded by forces that pull a person this way and that, preventing one from having even a single moment of clarity. And clarity is the basis for every facet of one's spiritual life. That's another refrigerator statement. Underline that. Clarity is the basis for every facet of one's spiritual life. And then he goes on to say, this occurs even with those who lead a completely devotional life, seeking nothing but closeness to Hashem. They are beset by confusion and haziness to the extent that they no longer understand what is it that Hashem desires from them. The wings of their spirits are clipped and they are unable to progress in their service. There's no greater threat than confusion, but with awareness and clarity, one's path is lit. If you have acquired a clear state of mind, what do you lack? Right? Lack is the word that was left off there. Okay? So what is he saying? He says this occurs even with those who lead a completely devotional life, right? Like I'll just give you an example from my own life, right? I remember, when I was every time it's coming up to Hanukkah, so I have to prepare myself. So any time that a holiday is coming up and I need to update my website, let's say. So I can spend nights, where I'm trying. What am I trying? What is my website? My website is trying to bring women closer to Hashem, right? But what happens? I'm up all night and I'm sending out a zillion emails, and I'm now become my own webmaster. So I have to upload everything and I have to make all the corrections. And, and even in my attempt to, bring God direct Torah to the world, what happens? I'm sleep deprived. And, even though I'm trying to do everyone on this call, we're all trying to do good things and we're all pushing ourselves and we're all working really hard. But, even in the most God-directed goals, right, GodDirectTorah.com, like the Yetzer Hara nabbed me there too. And, and I just I got so completely discombobulated because I was, I wasn't sleeping and I was off balance and, and then I was like short with my kids and, all my great gosh just like flew out the window. Right? So even, you're trying to do something really good and really important and, and even to bring like more Emunah and God direct Torah to the world and the Yetzer Hara, you have to be really careful because he'll nab you there too. Yeah? So watch out. Okay. So I think that's it for this evening. Is there anything else I wanted to say real quick here? Any questions? We're good?
Devorah.
Yeah, is that Leslie?
Hi, it's Leslie. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I learned how to unmute too.
Good.
I know. I muted and unmuted. I have a question. So when you said there were 3 types of consciousness, God consciousness, unconsciousness, and what was the other one? Self-conscious. What if you're thinking about a problem or another person or how to solve something? What consciousness would that be?
So again, it depends. It depends if you're bringing Hashem into it or not. It can be God conscious or it can be self-conscious.
Okay, so if you're trying to solve a problem, say with a child, or you're involved in trying to figure out like a chesed thing, or you're trying to figure out like you were doing that night, how you're trying to figure out your website.
Right. Right.
And that was something for other people. It was obviously also for you, but it was for other people. I mean, most of our lives is really spent in that kind of consciousness, I think, because we're always busy trying to solve problems. We go through our day trying to solve problems and challenges. Most of us don't have the luxury to sit and be in God consciousness. It's, maybe you have your time of davening.
First of all, what we're going to learn is you don't have. It's not something that you necessarily. When you really practice this muscle and you get really good at it, then you can zip into it like at a moment's notice. It's not like every time I want to be God conscious, I have to like go into a room for an hour and and chant. Right? So that's number one.
Well, you can look at like a beautiful leaves changing and say, oh, wow, that is beautiful. God painted that beautiful picture for us and, makes the world beautiful. Or, when you have a challenge with a child, you can say, well, I'm glad I have a child. So that could be a God consciousness, even though you have a challenge with that child.
Or to think, okay, how is this bringing me, how can this challenge bring me closer to Hashem? We'll see more when we get to Ratzon, that the more we line up our Ratzon for whatever it is we want with Hashem's Ratzon, right, the more that they're aligned with one another, so the more pure the Ratzon, the more our Ratzon will be fulfilled. Meaning what? If you have, a sick child, God forbid, so you don't just want your child to get healthy just for the sake of being healthy. You want your child to be healthy because that will bring more kavod shemayim to the world. Right? So you say, Hashem, please, I want my son to be healthy, and I want him to be able to learn your Torah, and I want him to be Makayim mitzvahs, with chiyus, and I want him to feel good, and I want him to be happy, and I want him to be able to have a family, and to be able to teach his children Torah and mitzvahs. And I want to perpetuate, your presence in this world, right? The more you make it be about Hashem, and revealing more of, because of what? Because where is Hashem revealed? Hashem is revealed through our kochos. So you want your child to be healthy so that Hashem can so to speak, activate through him.
Right.
And, he has this particular light that he's meant to shine in the world. So Hashem, I want my son to shine that light that you created him to shine.
Right.
That's davening with God consciousness.
Okay, I got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when I look for a new mattress, I should say, I want us to get better sleep so that we can feel better all day and we can do more things and do more mitzvahs.
You should hear Bill Vavi. And Bill Vavi, he has I'm not joking, he has a whole chapter on how to shop for a table.
Really?
Really.
It's really true. But it's true because
he gives you there's an entire chapter in Bilvavi what kavana to have when you're going into a store to pick out a table.
Uh-huh. That's great because we spend so much of our time acquiring, taking care of, and getting rid of things. And it's true, but the kavanah for getting rid of things should be, I want somebody else to have good use of this. I want to keep somebody else warm during a cold winter. I wanted to give somebody else light if it's a lamp or whatever it is. Like, we're just always getting rid of stuff. So I always want to recycle and make sure that it doesn't go into landfill and, cause bad things to the environment. I'd rather it recycle. But, yeah, it's true. I guess with everything.
It's infusing the God consciousness into everything that we're doing all the time. That's what it means to be Shoda Tamid, right? So really, we're going to learn how to do this. How can I walk around with this Eino Novado consciousness? We're going to read next week from Bovavi, like, what is a person who has this Eino Novado consciousness? What does he look like?
Uh-huh. Okay.
What is a person with this consciousness? Who's going to describe it for us?
Okay.
Okay,
excellent.
So good.
I'm
officially done with the class. Thank you, Leslie, because I promised I'd be done at an hour and a quarter. Well, we're going to pick up here next week, but I'm officially ending class, but I'm going to keep the tape on, and I'm happy to hang out if anyone has any more questions.
Okay.
So any other questions, comments?
Thank you, Devorah, Yaffa, Bela. Thank you.
Okay. Is that Marianne?
Thanks, Devorah. I have to hop off. I have to go mattress shopping.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for the audience participation. I appreciate it.
Okay. Take care.
Right.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Any other
Devorah,
questions?
can I ask a question? Yeah, I've got a question. This is Nadia.
Okay, go ahead, please.
My question is the difference between self-conscious and unconscious. Couldn't you be unconsciously self-conscious?
At the same time.
And what is self-conscious? Because I feel like you just went over
it. Self-conscious is going to be dealing more with this block of the ego. Right? I didn't get to it yet, but there's going to be two more main blocks that we're going to be talking about going forward. Right? This one block that we just identified just now, which is exactly the block that you said last week, that sometimes like you just can't get a moment of clarity. Right? Is that what you said? The desire. So that's one block, and then the other block is this block of the ego, and that's the being self-conscious. Unconscious is just more like I'm just reacting, like I'm not thinking at all. Just like somebody yells at me and I yell back, which there's also ego in that also, but it's not. Self-conscious is just more, And again, we're going to make a distinction. What's a healthy self-conscious versus not a healthy self-conscious? The ego is not necessarily always a bad thing. You just have to know how to use it in the right way. But it can definitely be a block, block to Hashem. But when I say unconscious, it's just more of a knee-jerk, instinctive reaction mode. I'm not thinking.
Because I'm thinking about whenever we have to have difficult conversations with somebody. I'm wondering if
I was coughing. I didn't hear you. I
said whenever we have to have a difficult conversation with somebody and there's a lot of emotion involved, is the emotion involved, does that go more towards the ego self-conscious, or is that unconscious, like your midot are just?
If it's more of a I would say, again, I made up these distinctions, so it's not Torah and emotion, but I would say if it's the kind of thing where you ever have you have to have a conversation with someone and you just have this ongoing dialogue going on in your brain, okay, I need to say this and then they're going to say this and what if they say that, and and it's more of a prolonged, it just gives you a headache because you're just thinking so much about the situation. So I would say that's more self-conscious, and and if it's just this spontaneous knee-jerk, or almost robotic, no thought involved reaction to something, that's more being unconscious. So what you're describing, I would say, is being more self-conscious. That's usually, again, our ego is getting in the way, and we're not sufficiently bringing Hashem into the situation.
So how can I have a conversation with someone?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What were you going to say? How can you?
So how can I have a conversation with someone where there is a lot of emotion involved, and you ultimately want to say God consciousness? Yeah.
Right. So what I do, and what I, even just before I teach a class, for instance, or I need to have anytime I'm about to have a confrontational conversation with someone, I do a short, 5-minute, I'll teach you, meditation to bring myself into a God-conscious place. Yeah, we're going to learn how to do that. And then once I bring myself into that space, that inner calm, right, that state of God consciousness, and then I go and have whatever conversation I need to have. But hopefully if I've done the work ahead of time, I can now have that conversation knowing, this is really Hashem speaking to me. Now, what makes it confrontational, Bichal? What makes it confrontational is you think that this person has some kind of an independent, that this person has some kind of power over you. Otherwise it would be confrontational. So as soon as you take away that power, and you say, wait a minute, time out. Like, Enod Novado. This is Hashem speaking to me. There's a reason why Hashem wants me to have this this conversation. There's something I'm meant to learn from this, right? And I'm going to engage in this entire conversation from a state of God consciousness where I know that this is Hashem speaking to me. And as soon as you take the power away from that person and you realize this is Hashem talking to you, right, it diffuses the whole situation.
It's true. I think that it's like in that conversation you could maybe tikkun the many months of misperception that this person has hurt you, and in that one conversation, you could potentially tikkun it so that Hashem is not hurting you and that you can just say what needs to be said and kind of like move on.
Right. And you can daven beforehand. Hashem, help me to have the clarity that I need to have in this conversation to know why I'm in this situation. Sometimes there's a tshuva that he's trying to draw out of you. I'll give you a very personal example. Right, I heard it from, are you familiar with Reb Moshe Weinberger?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said something so powerful, and it had such an impact on me. He was quoting from Rabbi Nachman, and he said that whenever you're having like a really intense Messiah in your life, he said, Rabbi Nachman says it's because there's something that you need to don yourself for. Right? There's something that you need to do tshuva on. Right? And it could be that whatever situation is going on in your life has absolutely nothing to do with what you need to do tshuva for, but Hashem is giving you this situation to like arouse in you the fact that you need to do tshuva for something. Right? So we happened to own an apartment in Beersheba, and we had these tenants, right? And they weren't paying the rent, and they're Israeli and not so pleasant to deal with. And every time I had to talk to them, like I just got such a tightness in my stomach, and we couldn't get them to leave, and they weren't paying the rent. And, and it was such a feeling of like, helplessness. It's terrible. Yeah. And, and I had to just, every time I like had to talk to them, it just made me like so tight inside, and it was terrible. And we were like, should we turn off the electricity? Like, should we turn off the water? Like, how do we get rid of these people? And then I heard this shir. And, there was just something else, like completely unrelated that was going on in my life. But I heard this shir, and it's like, maybe like I need to do tshuva for this, right? So that morning I did a very intense like tshuva on whatever the Indian was, and that night the tenant called and said they're moving out. Like wow, like it was over. Like, and this went on for a year. Wow. I could not get rid of these people for the life of me. And I heard this Torah from Rav Weinberger, and he said, you need to don yourself for something, and the Messiah will go away. And that same day, that night, they said, just letting we're moving out. And so it was over. The whole thing was over. So
how did you know what to make tshuva on?
That's we'll get there when we get to intuition. That was more of a, it was pretty clear. It was pretty obvious. It was something that was really bothering me and was really, it was pretty clear. Like when I got the message of, maybe there's a tshuva here that I have to do, and it's not just that these people have some kind of like power over me.
Wow.
As soon as I shined the flashlight in that area, then it became very clear, this is the problem here. And as soon as I did that, like the whole thing just evaporated.
Wow.
So, so if you're having kind of a recurring situation, or somebody is, so to speak, manipulating you or having some kind of a, and again, the manipulation and the control, it's an illusion. It's not real. But it's there because Hashem is trying to draw something out in you. There's something He wants you to do. And it could just be that He wants you to be pona to Him. He just wants you, again, to strengthen in the relationship.
Right.
The lacking is not, the end. The lacking is the means to bring us into the relationship with Hashem. That's the end.
Yaffa, thank you so much. That was very helpful, yeah.
Good? Okay, excellent. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the recording. And any other questions, you can email me or anything during the week. I'll see you next week. So
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Laila Tov. Call too.
Laila Tov.